Good afternoon, and welcome to the June Board Meeting 2023 of the Board of DSS for Pitt County. I'd like to call this meeting to order and observe a moment of silent prayer or silent meditation. So, do we have any comments? No, ma'am. So no one has signed up for public comments. Okay, so everyone got their last month's minutes? Let's do the agenda first, sorry about that. Do we need to adopt or revise the agenda?
You do need to.
Do we need to?
No, you don't. I move that we accept it as it is unless someone has said something to say.
Anyone else? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next, has everyone received their minutes? Any
Yes.
questions about the minutes?
No.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to Ms. Rochelle to recognize the new hires and retirees.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to take a few minutes to be able to introduce our new employees, and as I call your name, if you would kindly step to the podium, introduce yourself, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and just so that we can get to know you and welcome you to Pitt County. So the first person I have is Shanika Phillips Garrett. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Shanika Phillips Garrett. I'm in the Food and Nutrition unit. Just started maybe about 4 weeks ago. I've been in Greenville since I was 5 years old, 2 kids and married, and I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Welcome to have you.
Thank you.
It's your first job?
And for Pitt County DSS, yes. Before that, I was at Beaufort County for child support.
Okay, thank
Welcome.
Thank you.
you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lisa Bond. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Bond. I am from Bertie County, Windsor,
Where?
North Carolina. Bertie County, Windsor, North Carolina.
A very fine county, might I add.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. And I am with Food and Nutrition Services as well at Pitt County DSS. I've come from Hertford County DSS, working in Family and Children Medicaid. I'm glad to be here. I've lived in Durham for approximately 13 years, and I decided I wanted to come back to either my county or close to my county to serve the local citizens in the areas near my county.
Welcome.
Welcome.
home.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It might not be the best, but since we got a bird ticket over here.
Takesha Lee. Welcome, Takesha.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Takesha Lee. I'm also originally from Bertie County. Allander. I've been in Pitt County for 13 years. I'm a rehire for Pitt County DSS. I started back May 30th of this year. I was here last year in 2017 for a little over 2 years. I am a mother of 2 adult children and a 6-year-old grandson, and I'm happy to be back.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We forgive you about bird ticket.
Brianna Watson. Welcome, Brianna.
My name is Brianna Watson, born and raised in Pitt County. I've never worked with DSS before. I currently work in Family and Children's Medicaid. I do have 2 children, 12 and 3. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We're happy to have you. Thank
Welcome.
Now, when you all come to this mic, there's some people way out there in Never Land want to hear you. Just speak to the mic, please.
Nancy Ray.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Ray, and I'm an attorney with Child Protective Services. Delighted to join the DSS legal team. Prior to my beginning work here last Monday, I was an assistant clerk who managed the civil division of the Pitt County Clerk's Office. Prior to that, I was a Pitt County magistrate, and prior to that, I was in private practice beginning in 2001 in Pitt County. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to work for you.
Thank you for
Thank you so
changing your role.
Joan Weber? Hi, Joan.
Hello, my name is Joan Weber. I'm from Craven County. I've been in Pitt County about 8 years now. I have a 14-month-old daughter, and I work as a accounting tech too, and I'm very happy for this opportunity.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. A bright smile.
Thank you.
Tiffany Price. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hello. So I'm Tiffany Price. I'll be supervising investigations and assessments for Child Protective Services. I come from Wayne County. I've been in the field for 10 years now, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome.
I'm
Welcome.
glad you left Wayne.
Sandra Phillips.
Sandy Phillips. I originally am from Craven County as well, the big town of Vanceboro. I am the office clerk 4, 5. One of those. For the CPS legal division. I do have a little bit of paralegal in my background. I also have some human resources recruiting type experience in my background. So this is kind of new to me, but it's good so far. I've enjoyed it.
Welcome.
That's wonderful.
Thanks,
Thank
Sandy.
you.
James Bowen.
Mr. Bowens couldn't be here with us today, but he is a returning employee. He was previously in our Adult Protective Services unit for about 3 years, and he will be returning as a guardianship worker.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Shannon. Jordan Ross.
Hi, y'all. My name is
Hey.
Jordan Ross. In case y'all don't know what I do here, I am security. I will turn around and just so y'all know. I've been doing security work for about 8 years now. I got 10 years in service with the National Guard. I was deployed, I took part of 2 operations, Operation Joint Guardianship and Operation Spartan Shield. That took me to an array of 4 different countries. Took me to Kosovo, Serbia, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a pleasure to meet y'all. I might have a good time. Hopefully you're serving y'all, helping y'all, whatever you may need. I mean, I would say that you guys are under pretty good protection with me here. I would say that. We're currently, me and Johnny over here, my associate, we are working getting our arm license, so we will be armed soon. Me and Miss Rochelle have talked about that. I will say this though, Rochelle, probably the wrong place to speak about it, but I will say it's going to take 3 days in the middle of the week to get that. 8 hours, so yeah, I'll send you an email regarding that, see if we can work out what days to go get that. But yes, we are getting armed soon, so if anything does happen, we can help. All right, thank you.
Appreciate the effort.
Make sure you qualify.
Oh, yes,
I look
ma'am.
forward to it.
And Johnny McLaurin?
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin.
These are 2 new positions, aren't they?
They're temporary, but we're hoping.
How everybody doing?
Good.
Hello. Oh, you can raise the mic. You don't have to bend over.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Johnny McLaughlin. I'm born and raised here in Pitt County. I spent 7 years in Australia playing professional basketball, and I also spent 2.5 years doing security work over there as well. And now I'm here working for DSS as a security guard at the HSUC Center in Social Services, DSS. So I'm just happy to be here. And Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Is that the one over here?
So Jordan is in this building with us, in the county office building, and Johnny is across the river.
Okay.
And just to say, we're very pleased to have you both on board. And it's
absolutely.
made a world of difference. So thank you. both.
Absolutely. I'm happy to see you with that security shirt on. It makes a difference.
So, the next thing we have,
There's some music. Oh, keep on playing.
well, I guess I'm going to welcome you, Cynthia, with a little music in the background.
Isn't
Don't know
it
where that's
beautiful?
coming from. Yes, very nice. Cynthia, if you'd like to come up and receive your proclamation. What was that? Are we totally? I'll come in front.
That was the first time, but it really was pleasant, wasn't it? The music.
Sounds like somebody's phone. Oh, absolutely. Come on down. So, this afternoon, I'd like to recognize Cynthia Ross, and this is on the occasion of her retirement, and I'm going to be presenting her with this proclamation. Whereas we are here today to express special recognition to Cynthia Ross and to honor her for her distinguished 30-year career with the Pitt County Department of Social Services. And whereas Cynthia began her career on June 7, 1993, as a social worker 2. On April 21st, 1996, she was promoted to a social worker 3. On July 8th, 2012, she was promoted to social worker supervisor 3. And finally, on December 4th, 2016, promoted to the position of Adult Services Social Work Program Manager until her retirement on May 31st, 2023. Whereas Cynthia has proven herself to be a valuable asset to Pitt County Department of Social Services with a vast knowledge of the department's policy and procedures and a respected leader in the Adult Services Division. And whereas Cynthia has worked constantly for the betterment of adults and vulnerable citizens of the Pitt County Department of Social Services and the community. And whereas the Pitt County Department of Social Services wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Cynthia for her dedication to the outstanding performance of her duties during her tenure. Whereas this proclamation is presented to Cynthia to serve as a reminder that although she is retiring, she will always be remembered as a valued employee dedicated to both her position and our community. Now therefore, I, Sharon L. Rochelle, Director of Pitt County Social Services, and on behalf of our governing body and citizens of Pitt County, do hereby present this proclamation to Cynthia Ross as a testimonial to the faithful and dedicated services which she has performed for the past 30 years, and with our best wishes for continued success and happiness in the future.
Mr. Cruz, could you let them closer so the picture can be brighter? They are not on the screen at all. Could you let them in there? Yes, please. We want that. We want a good picture.
Okay, here.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna want to snap it.
I didn't want to interrupt Ms. Rochelle, but
No,
come
that's okay.
come to the lights so that
Come into the
so you
light.
can shine bright. There you go. Now that ought to be a pretty one right there.
And let's-
Y'all act like you know each other. Close up a little bit there. There you go. There you go.
Okay, we have a second proclamation today for Priscilla Pitt. Hi, Priscilla. Okay, this is a proclamation on the occasion of Priscilla Pitt's retirement. Whereas we are here today to express special recognition to Priscilla Pitt and to honor her for her distinguished 15-year career with the Pitt County Department of Social Services. And whereas Cynthia sorry, Priscilla. We'll fix that for you, dear. Began her career on May 27th, 2008 as a child support agent. On October 4th, 2009, she was promoted to a social worker 2. And on October 11th, 2015, she was promoted to social worker 3. Is that correct? Okay. And finally, on January 29th, 2017, Priscilla transferred to social worker 2 until her retirement on June 30th, 2023. Whereas Priscilla has proven herself to be a valuable asset to Pitt County Department of Social Services with a vast knowledge of the department's policy and procedure, and whereas Priscilla has worked constantly for the betterment of citizens of the Pitt County Department of Social Services and the community, and whereas the Pitt County Department of Social Services wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Priscilla for her dedication to the outstanding performance of her duties during her tenure. And whereas this proclamation is presented to Priscilla to serve as a reminder that although she is retiring, she will always be remembered as a valued employee dedicated to both her position and our community. Now therefore, I, Sharon L. Rochelle, Director of Pitt County Department of Social Services, on behalf of our governing body and the citizens of Pitt County, do hereby present this proclamation to Priscilla Pitt as a testimonial to the faithful and dedicated services which she has performed for the past 15 years, with our best wishes for continued success and happiness in the future. Congratulations. Thank you.
So at this point in our meeting, we are going to have a presentation from some folks from the Crucial Conversations group. They're going to present that information to us. If any of y'all want to stay, you're welcome to stay. If you need to get back to your office, that's fine as well. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Rochelle to introduce.
So we started, actually it was Catherine Nelson that brought this idea up to help with creating a more positive culture here at the Department of Social Services and how we address each other as well as our clients, and to be able to have those crucial conversations in such a way that it's a positive outcome, and that we're using that parallel process of how we treat each other, how we treat our staff, and how our staff treat the folks that they work with. So we're looking at bringing this into the department, having all the leaders start off with the training and then kind of expressing it and sending it out to all of the staff as well. So I thought it was important while we were looking at this to be able to take this opportunity for the board to be able to look at what the program is about. They've all been given a book to read at their leisure, and be able to ask questions about what Crucial Conversations is all about. So we have Scott Robley and Matthew Brinkerhoff from the Crucial Conversations staffed and training to be able to provide us a course overview. So I don't know who will go first. Will it be Scott?
Is the person here?
You're on mute. There we go. Hello, sorry, I was readjusting my screen so I could still see you and see my presentation. Thank you for letting us be here. I will tell you what, I wasn't feeling too bad about not being able to be in person with you until I saw the fun y'all were having. And I'm really kind of feeling like I'm missing out not being there in person. I will say I'm from Utah County. I'm here in just south of Salt Lake City is where I live. But I will say this, I did live in Wake County in Holly Springs, North Carolina for about 3.5 years. So there is a little bit of North Carolinian in me, and I say go Tar Heels. I hope that's not offensive to anyone, but that's who I root for, go Tar Heels. But I really am excited about the opportunity I have to kind of share with you a little bit about crucial learning and particularly crucial conversations. My name is Scott Robley, and I am the Director of Professional Services here at Crucial Learning, but I also am one of our senior master trainers. So I'm grateful to have my good friend Matt Brinkerhoff with me as well. Also coming to you from Utah, but he's down in the nicer, warmer part of Utah, down in southern Utah is where he's at right now. But I know my time is brief, and so I want to make the most of that time. I will spend a few minutes kind of sharing with you some things, and then also save some time for some questions that you might have for us. So we at Crucial Learning, we really are, people often refer to us as a training organization. We really like to think of ourselves more as a business solutions organization. And how do we go about helping people? Our purpose and mission is pretty simple. We believe in a world where all human beings can be great at being human. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? And we know that with the right skills, everyone can learn to behave in ways that make their lives, their families, their organizations, and our world better. And we here at Crucial Learning are driven to find those skills and share them with people in ways that make a difference. Often when people say, Scott, what do you do? I say, nothing much. I just give people the power to improve. My background is in education. I have an elementary education degree, taught high school and middle school, and was a principal for 20 years before moving into this space. But when you start to think about organizations, most organizations really focus above the waterline. And that's where they, in an effort to get results, they focus on strategy, they focus on structure, they focus on processes and systems, and all very, very important things. But what we've learned and what we all know is that real change actually happens below the waterline. It's those status quo behaviors that impact as we begin to implement the strategies, the structures, the processes, and the systems. And so while we often talk about Crucial Conversations being a course about communication, really all of our courses are about, how do we bring about results, bring about desired outcomes, and by the way, strengthening relationships along the way. The way we do that is through our world-class training. And maybe some of you have heard of some of our courses which are built upon New York Times best-selling books. Crucial Conversations for Mastering Dialogue, Crucial Conversations for Accountability. We also have a New York Times best-selling book called Influencer, which is all about how do you influence change? How do you bring about the kind of change that we want within our organizations? And a number of years ago, wanting to expand our impact, we partnered with two real brilliant people. One was David Allen, who wrote the book Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And we adapted and built a course around productivity. And not too long ago, we also partnered with Charles Duhigg, the New York Times bestselling author of The Power of Habit, where we teach people how to form habits. How do you take the behaviors that you desire and make them automatic? But we're really here today to talk really kind of about our flagship course, which is Crucial Conversations for Mastering Dialogue. And if you were to create some kind of a tagline, if you will, of what Crucial Conversations for Mastering Dialogue really is all about, it would be this. It would be, how do you turn disagreement into dialogue? By speaking up candidly, respectfully, and quickly. One of the things that we've learned over 30 plus years of doing this and through social science research is that the most successful organizations, teams, groups, families are those who create a culture of dialogue where they can feel safe. That's a very popular phrase that we hear today, psychological safety, where people can feel safe to speak their mind, to share their concerns, to infuse their ideas. In a world where we are trying so desperately and rightfully so to create an environment of diversity, equity, and inclusion, one of the things that we've learned is representation is not enough. It's not enough just to have the right people represented at the table if they're not contributing. And so I always like to say that Crucial Conversations is DE&I at its finest, because it empowers and teaches skills that allow people to make their biggest and best contributions. Again, as I mentioned, these courses really aren't about communication, conversation, productivity, change. It's about results. And as you think about it, I always like to invite people to think about their current reality, the current state, thinking about Pitt County and the great goals and aspirations and things that you're striving to accomplish. Think about what organizational outcomes are you trying to solve or improve. right? Are you trying to solve disagreements? Is it disengagement? Is there a culture of cliques or backbiting or blaming, bullying, and of course other solutions we're working towards? Or maybe we're trying to improve inclusion. We're trying to create a more diverse and equitable, inclusive environment. Maybe we're trying to build a community of trust and respect and responsibility, collaboration, communication. As you begin to think about what are the organizational outcomes that you're trying to solve or improve, the second question I'd ask you is, what is the cost of not improving them, right? What is the cost of us not attacking and finding ways to solve and overcome and improve those situations? A lot of times what we see the cost being employee engagement, disengagement goes down. How do we retain? I mean, it was so fun to see these new people coming into Pitt County. And how do you attract and retain that kind of talent? How do you get Wayne County people to come to Pitt County, right? Sounds like that's a good thing to do, right? How do you do those things? How do you improve morale and productivity? Because all those things suffer if we don't solve the problems at hand. And so as we begin to think about not only about what are the outcomes and solutions we're trying to solve, but what is the cost of not doing so? And I always like to tell people, as you identify and think about those very specific, real problems that you're trying to overcome, how many of them will be overcome without the ability to speak to them? It doesn't take a mathematician to know that's 0%. If we can't step up and speak to those issues, we're not going to be able to get the results that we really, really see. Well, the course that we teach comes from, as I mentioned, this New York Times best-selling book, Crucial Conversations, which is in its 3rd edition. Over 5 million copies have been sold. We have this recent edition is updated, it's current, it's relevant. I know many of you have received this copy. I hope that you will devour it. I hope you will read it and see the impact that it can have in your world. You know, one of the things that we've learned, as we've done this for a really long time, is we've learned that there are what we call moments of disproportionate influence. In other words, there are certain moments in time that have a greater impact on the results and desired outcomes that we seek than others. And if we can learn to navigate those moments, that's the secret to success. That's the key. As a matter of fact, as you're trying to imagine what this looks like, let me give you an example. And I'm hoping this is going to play for you, but I want to give you an example of what I mean by a crucial moment. And what we're going to watch here is we're going to watch an interaction between two people, Kim and Anya. And Kim is the manager on the right and Anya's on the left. And Anya has actually been assigned to be a project manager. Maybe some of you have had that opportunity to lead a project. And she's meeting with Kim to talk about the timeline of this project. Now, as you watch this play out, I just want you to think to yourself, how skilled would you be, or those around you, at handling a situation like this?
So, I am really excited to have you and your team digging on this project.
Well, thanks. We're excited too.
Let's talk timelines.
Yes. So we looked it over and we think we can get everything done in just a little over 6 months.
Okay. When I worked it out, it seemed like we should be able to finish this by the end of the quarter.
Oh, wow. I'm glad you brought that up because that's like half the usual time for a project like this.
Yeah, but that's why you're in this role. You have an ability to make the impossible happen.
Thanks, Kim. But yeah, we went over all of the individual tasks and there is no way to get that done in 3 months.
Okay, let me give you some more context here. Other product launches are at stake. I've already said we can do it by then, and the accelerated schedules are in the master plan.
Wait, so you've already made a commitment to the leadership team without consulting me about whether this is feasible?
You know we need a big win this year, and there's a lot of pressure on us. Look, when I went to bat for you to get this position, do you know what I said? I said you're the best person for this job. I said you could get things done in tight timelines.
Oh, how I wish I was there in person and can literally see the look on your faces. And please know, a lot of people ask the question and I'll answer it. No, We did not do a documentary of your world. It just may feel like it, right? As you often can possibly relate to not only, but the look even on Anya's face. How do you handle that moment? Friends, this is what we call a crucial conversation. And what makes a crucial conversation different than any other conversation is that there's high stakes, opposing opinions, strong emotions. And when you combine those three things, man, you've got a crucial moment. And how you navigate it will make all the difference in the world. And not only the outcome of the project for Anya and Kim, but also for their working relationship moving forward. That's what I love about how we get to teach these skills of how they handle. And as you think about, the Department of Social Services and the critical conversations that they have, the strong emotions, the high stake conversations, the opposing opinions, so grateful that they're looking to explore and bring this kind of a skill set into that department. One of the things that we often say is that any time that you find yourself stuck, meaning you're not getting the results or outcomes that you want, well, there's likely a crucial conversation that you're not having or not having very well. And here's the thing, I'm guessing all of you know this. You know we need to have better conversations. We know we need to step up these conversations, but we don't. For most of us, our typical response is to go to what we call silence, to almost to accept what is being dealt us. We don't say anything. But why? Why do we say that? Why do we do that? Let me share one more video with you, and this is one of my favorite videos. And this comes from a young social scientist named Kiara. And although we know we need to handle these conversations more effectively, we still struggle. And to help explain why this is the case, as we watch this little fun science experiment play out, I want you to think about and maybe be able to answer in your heads, why do the kids in this video act the way that they do? And what does it teach us about us as adults?
We all know adults stink at talking about tough things, but how about little kids? Here's my experiment. Feed kids wretched brownies, then see if they'll tell you the truth, especially when they think it might hurt your feelings. First, I made the brownies. Lots of chocolate, eggs, flour, but instead of just sugar, I added in salt. Lots of salt. There is no way they can like these better. Then, I invited kids of various ages for a taste test. I told them I want to compare ordinary brownies to my special brownies. My dear grandmother's special recipe. My dear dead grandmother's special recipe. I gave them some cash for being such a big help. Okay, here it goes. First, they ate the yummy sugar brownies. Next, they ate the salt bricks. Watch this girl. She can barely choke it down. And how about this girl? Even this kid. Look at that face. And now for the crucial moment. Will they tell me the truth and possibly offend me? I asked them to point to the brownies they like best. No surprise that some try to spare my feelings. But watch, even the one who gagged. And how about really little kids? Yep. Wow. But do you want to know what they really thought? Here guys, I have leftovers. Does anybody want seconds?
At least he tried it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you, I never tire of watching that video, right? You ever been in a meeting and have someone share an idea and think to yourself, these are some pretty salty brownies, but you don't say anything, right? Why? Because from our very early on, right? Why do these young kids not tell the truth? They lie. Why? Because they want to avoid confrontation. They don't want to hurt people's feelings, right? They make what we call a damnable conclusion. We make, or what we often refer to as a fool's choice, right? An either-or mentality. We think, well, either I can tell the truth and hurt their feelings, or I can not say anything and maintain a relationship. We become blinded, if you will, to the reality. Can we be candid and kind? Can we be honest and respectful? Yeah, we can. And that's what this course really is all about. How do we teach people how to step up when those salty brownies are presented to us, when we're eating some really, really salty brownies? Because the problem is that when it matters most, like it does for you at Pitt County, we often do our worst. We either don't hold conversations, we don't hold them well. So the real goal and the solution of what we provide is helping learners identify and hold the crucial conversations that are key to organizational, team, and interpersonal successes. And this is kind of just briefly the model, and then I'll wrap things up here. The goal is really to get this pool of shared meaning, right? That is at the heart of what we do. The goal is not for me to share mine, but for me to do so in a way that you'll share your opinion as well. The fuller the pool of meaning, the more ideas, the more I call the group IQ, the more we have, the better decisions we make. The better decisions we make, the better actions we take. And the better actions we take, the greater results that we're going to get. It all hinges on our ability to create a culture of dialogue. You know, we have worked with so many different organizations, big and small. And I was thinking about as we look at this opportunity to work with Pitt County, I was reminded of a couple of situations that really kind of made me think of you all. You know, a number of years ago, we worked with the Florida Department of Children and Families, and they really rolled crucial conversations into their department. And this is one of their HR strategic business partner. After this great initiative of bringing crucial conversations in, they said crucial conversations helped our leadership and management become aware of how their communication affects the way employees react to challenges and ensures open communication is successful. That's huge. Think about the work that you do, creating an open line of communication where people feel safe to share their ideas, to push back, to challenge, to question, to share, right? Another, the city of Redmond, Washington, we worked with them, and as they rolled this out in their city, they said that at Redmond, 40 to 59%, this is some after the course surveys that they did, employees reported changing their behavior and improving their communication skills as a result of the course. And they also saw an improved culture and improved communication. And the last example I'll share with you is, from the state of Colorado. Maybe as more along the lines of not what the result of the training was, but what caused them to bring the training in the first place, right? They had a number of business challenges that led them to kind of evaluate and eventually select Crucial Learning. And some of those things were they wanted to launch a culture change initiative. They wanted to launch more of a change management initiative. They wanted to improve communication, improve employee morale and engagement, and ultimately they wanted a better way to help change employee behavior. And like I said, that's what we get to do. We get to give people the power to improve. I wake up every single day, not because I have a job, but because I kind of feel like I got a calling to help people improve their lives. And I'll just end with this quote before I turn it over to any questions that you might have, that the health of a relationship, team, organization, or county is a function of the average time lag between identifying and discussing problems. The strength of your organization will be how quickly, when people see and identify problems, can they step up and speak up. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to kind of share what we're all about, but I'd love to now see any questions, any thoughts that we might be able to answer. If I can't answer them, that's what Mr. Matt here is for. I will say this, I'm not always right, but I'm always confident.
So, thank you, Scott. Any questions for the team from Crucial Learning about this curriculum or approach?
I know, I'm good. No questions. I get it. It happens. No, I'm just
So,
teasing.
Catherine, can I put you on the spot to
Sure.
talk a little bit about
Absolutely.
what you've done at ECU Health with this?
So I took this part of the leadership core and leadership training at the medical center and our system. One of the courses is Crucial Conversations. It was a 2-day course. We did it with leaders from around our system, from different walks of life. So I didn't have the same type of folks and the same type of job function with me. And I'll have to say, after I took the course, one of the things that I said to our instructors that had been trained at our organization was, I wish I had taken this 15, 20 years ago. I could have moved things along better. I probably could have avoided some pitfalls and some things in my leadership, and maybe just the employee morale and the way people interact with one another. So I brought this to Sharon's attention, and we began the conversation with the Crucial Learning Group, and wanted to bring this to the board today to give them some sense of where we feel like we need to go with training and leadership development within DSS.
And my first chapter of the book was so enlightening to me, just how they talk about how we perceive things, our different reactions to that, rather than dealing with the problem straight on, that we hold it inside and we let it build up until the point where, we explode, or, and I'm talking more of in a personal way, but, how to have that safe conversation, how to be able to speak with each other and not be offended, not take things in a personal way. Whether we like it or not, the work of the Department of Social Services, not just here in Pitt County, but anywhere, is always emotionally charged. We deal with everything and anything in people's lives, their children, their grandparents, their food supplies, their housing, everything that we deal with is, there's always a certain amount of emotion tied to that. And I think what happens, and I'll speak for myself, is we will hear from the person that we're dealing with and trying to understand what it is that they're saying, even though they may be angry at us, and what's the best way to respond back. I also think it sort of spills over into our relationships with each other, and how to better be able to handle that in a way that's safe for everybody, that's a trustful environment. I think people learn from their experiences along the way, whether or not this is a culture of trust and respect. And maybe for some people it is, but I know for some people that it's not. They've had frank and honest conversations with me. I don't have all the answers, but I have a feeling that this is going to be our answer, and it will help us move forward in the culture of this organization. The inclusion and the equity of the organization is very important to me. It's not something we've really dealt with before, but it's something that I would like to include going forward. So it's Pitt County Schools has this in place, I learned after, in addition to ECU. So I think if we can build capacity here in Pitt County, it's really going to be important for all of our relationships with all of our community partners. So just wanted to share that.
So what is the plan for rolling it out? Like, is it something that every employee will participate in? Will it happen every so often so new employees are part of it? Like, what's the rollout look like?
So, Michelle, you want to step up to the podium for a minute? Michelle is our staff development person. She will be trained, so she'll do the train the trainer. So we wanted to start first with our leadership if possible, and then be able to, go ahead, step on up there.
Sure, I didn't know I was coming to the mic.
Yeah,
but
that's okay. Well, hey, we're full of surprises,
I
Michelle.
certainly want to say that this crucial conversation has the propensity to change the culture of our organization, and we definitely need a culture change. And in speaking with staff about it, they welcome the investment in our people, which would be a morale booster in itself. So to roll that out, we have some statistics, or not statistics, but we have a group rate that would allow us to train our supervisors and leadership And then going forward, when we're trained, we would be a trainer, and so we will be able to continue to train as new people come in and make sure that everybody has that training and everybody is aware of crucial conversation going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How long have you been working on this?
Couple of months. Our first meeting was maybe back in March, Catherine?
Yes.
So we've been reading the book. We've been having conversations with Crucial just to see what they have on the table, what the cost is, how effective it would be for our people. You know, having the book is one thing, but once we teach it, we would have kits for everyone so that they would have all of the information going forward after the training. And so that's about how long.
Is this whole, is this a new position for you?
No.
No. Have you been here all along?
I've been here for 3 years.
You've been in Pitt County for 3 years?
I've been Pitt County DSS for 3 years.
For 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So what we would like to do ultimately is for the board to look at the mini book that was sent out in the link, begin reading this book between now and our next meeting, and maybe talk about the investment, the cost for this, and have a board action in our July meeting. How's that? Is that good?
Is there a plan to see once, let's say this is launched and you guys start putting it out there, how are you gonna gauge, how are you gonna be able to see if this culture change is taking place?
In speaking with contacts with Crucial, they will help us measure that.
Okay.
And so they have all the plans in place to do
Yes.
that and measuring tools. So they will work with us as we continue the Crucial relationship. As we have trainers and continue to have classes, they'll continue to.
Was there a discussion, excuse me, prior, before you started looking at it? You did a survey or something?
We have not done a survey.
What kind of survey were you thinking, Ms.?
Something that can measure or tell the difference, something that you can gauge that there has been a difference. I mean, if you do it, and then you have nothing to look at as to what the thinking was prior to you. You have nothing to measure by.
Can I interject? I'm sorry. Can I interject just so that you understand? What a great question, because if you're going to profess behavior change, you've got to know how to be able to measure it. And so some of the resources that we offer include having that baseline survey, a survey before they take the course to get that baseline behavior of where they are at, and then 30, 60, 90 days down the road, we reiterate that same survey, and we can start to measure to see, are we seeing it? And typically the things we measure with conversations is we try to measure frequency, intensity, and impact, right? How frequent are these kinds of moments happening? What is the intensity or the impact of the work that we're doing? And how confident am I in my ability to step up in those moments? And what we should see, and what we do see over time, is that frequency and intensity go down and ability goes up. So I love the questions, great questions, because we want to make an investment and we want to help you see the value and knowing that as you create that culture, there are many impacts. It won't just be our course. It's all the things that you do that will really bring about the change that we're trying to bring. Thank you. Sorry.
No.
Thank you, Scott.
And I think the message from literally the day I walked through the door is from multiple people in multiple departments is, the morale here is so low, the morale here is so low. And we've contracted with Allies for Outcomes to try to come in and do a little bit of that, but it's not effective because it's not, they're doing it for like divisions, but not the whole department. I think the other big red flag for me is the number of recruitment and retention issues we've had over the time. Now it's getting a little bit better. but I want it not only to have to hire people and have them happy here, but I want them to stay here and not have that revolving door. Not necessarily here in Pitt County, but every time we hire someone and they leave, we've made an investment in them, and that investment walks out the door. And all the knowledge and the money that we've put into place to have them be an employee here walks out the door with them. So, not to say that it's going to come to a screeching halt, but I would like to be able to find something that will help with the morale, to keep people here, and so we don't, because it's costly. I figured out there was, this was for Child Protective Services, but by the time somebody went through all of the training, did all of the work, and basically it was like, after a year to 2 years, $100,000 would walk out the door. And they'd be all trained and hired for another agency.
Well, I have a lot of questions now.
Okay.
And not that I'm not willing to try anything new. There's always room for improvement. But I think there needs to be something that says to me, problems exist. If I've not seen anything that say, we hired this person at this age, at this setting, and here we've trained, and she didn't stay here 3 months. I've not heard any of that. Or we have X staff, or we've done this, and then it caused a confusion with not looking at whatever. I guess I'm naive, or maybe I don't know.
Cautious.
I'm being cautious, yes, because we're talking about an organization that responds to the total community in every facet of life that we exist in. And I'm not saying that we don't have problems. Every organization has problems, but I certainly would like to be able to measure or be able to recognize, because as a board member, I don't see that daily routine. I get to hear a little bit of it, and we don't have mechanism in place that we can get some of the issues. Because before you came, I get an email. There was communications about it, and then, well, I knew, but there hasn't been that. And when I see somebody on the street, what's happening? What's going on? Well, I like to not to be afraid to talk with people or to be afraid to look into it, but I like to be the kind of person that's in a certain position that you are held in oversight of, and then it's not brought to you. Then I must have been an ostrich.
So, Ms. Berry, I think if you have the opportunity to at least read a portion of the book.
I'm going to read it.
And we get some kind of a baseline, whether that, I think, and I don't know what, Scott, what you recommend as far as doing a baseline, but I know that I've done focus groups in the past, not with me in them, because I want people to be honest and direct, but have someone else come in and do the focus group to hear back from the employees about, what their work environment is like. I want the honest truth, I don't want them to say things, like the brownies. They can tell me that the brownies are salty and they're no good.
I would have said, I was surprised that the children just said, ugh.
So
some indication,
So I think, that's why I think just kind of, this is an introduction today to kind of get people to start thinking.
Okay, so this is the starters thinking.
Yes,
That's better. All right.
yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we don't need a board action today.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, and we'll get more information.
I was wondering, what's going on? Okay, thank you, Scott. I didn't have any questions, I just didn't know why this came up, and that it was just an introduction to a proposed suggestion that we can look into.
Yes, ma'am.
For the agency. This is a very large, department, and there are many levels, and they exist, but I haven't. Before you yes, after you no. So, that's the way it is. And, maybe, I think we have so many facets in this organization. This is an oversight board. This is the way I look at it. Your job is to manage social service on a regular day, and you have a manager to share your ideas and thought with. So, at some point, if we need to make some adjustments, so this is the point where you're saying, let's look at something else and try to determine something. Okay, now I understand why we looked at this.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, Mary.
And I'm being truthful. I mean,
That's what-
I'm being straightforward.
That's what Crucial Conversations is all about.
I was trying to find out.
Practicing what we preach. I love it. I love it.
So thank you, Scott, and didn't see Matthew out there, but thank you for being with us this afternoon, and we will be in touch. Appreciate your
Thank
help.
you all. Really appreciate being with you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Where's the other person?
Okay, so we'll move right along to items for report. Adult Services update.
Just your mic, honey.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon. Is that good? So my name's Candace Franklin, and I am one of the adult services supervisors. As you know, Cynthia Ross, our program manager, has retired, so I am here today sort of in her stead to give just a brief update on the adult services programs. Adult services currently has 6 programs, so adult protective services, guardianship, special assistance in-home aid, community alternatives programs for disabled adults, which we refer to as CAP, and then we have adult home specialists. So just a few updates. Vacancies. As far as vacancies for the division, currently right now we have 3 vacancies in our adult protective services program. We have 1 vacancy in guardianship. We had 2 vacancies, but a new worker, Mr. Bowens, that we spoke about earlier, was to start today, so that leaves us with 1 vacancy in that unit. The special assistance in-home, we are fully staffed in that unit. In-home aid is fully staffed. And then our CAP, we have 1 vacancy in CAP and 1 adult home specialist vacancy currently. I went in a little bit just to kind of talk about how these vacancies are affecting our current caseloads. We do have a staffing shortage, as you see, with the vacancies. Guardianship, in our guardianship unit, right now we are the guardian for 200 adults. We have 32 adults pending assessment right now. Our state recommendation for caseload size for guardianship, there's a typo there. Instead of 35, it's actually 25. So the state recommendation is 25 cases per guardianship worker. And currently the unit is averaging around 57 cases per guardianship worker. And so that has us at 228%. For adult protective services, the state recommendation is that workers that are evaluating cases for protection carry 6 cases. And currently our APS workers right now are averaging around 10 evaluation cases per worker. Also in APS, we also do case management. Once those cases are evaluated and we've made case decision, they move into case management if they are substantiated. And the state recommendation for that is that each worker would carry 9 cases, and currently the case management social worker has 20 cases. Moving down to just a quick look at the month of May. For the month of May, Adult Protective Services reports received was 70. Of those reports, 39 of them met the criteria for Adult Protective Services evaluation, and they were screened in and evaluated. 31 of those did not meet the criteria, and they were screened out and referred to other agencies for assistance. For our guardianship, we did receive 2 new individuals under guardianship for the month of May. For our special assistance in-home program, in the beginning of, I believe it was March, we had a pretty long wait list. And as of the month of May, that wait list is completely dissolved, and all of the individuals on that list have been assessed. So we're very proud of that. Technical assistance, the Adult Services Division currently right now is still receiving support through the Division of Aging and Adult Services in efforts to help us meet our technical assistance goals. At this time, the focus is on adult protective services and guardianship. Our special assistance and in-home unit, as I stated, the wait list is dissolved in that unit. We've met that goal. We do have one final review with the state for that particular program, and then after that, we will have met all of our goals. Remedies and relief for the division. I did speak a little bit about the caseload size, our staffing shortage, and so we have some things that we're working on right now. Ms. Rochelle, our director, has approved for us to hire 2 temp staff. So those temp staff will be in the Adult Protective Services unit, and they will assist with evaluations and case management. We also are working with a guardianship corporation by the name of Phoenix Counseling Center. And our director has been working very closely with the county manager, and we're looking at contracting with Phoenix Counseling Service Center with 80 cases, 80 guardianship cases. So 80 of our current cases, so we have 200 right now, 80 of them, we're looking to modify guardianship for those individuals to this corporate guardianship agency. That will bring our caseloads down in guardianship to a more manageable size for guardianship workers. Did you have a question?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to suggest that for adult protective services as well as child protective services, I'd like to see the statistics on paper, what the state requires and what our statistics are. Because now I can understand if you're supposed to have 25 and you working 50, then, I mean, but I need to look at it. I cannot hold that long memory for everything across that I'm faced with in my duties as a commissioner.
chart
So
differently from this? Is what you're saying? This has what she gave us? This is on the handout that she gave us, so it is in writing.
The front page tells how many the state recommends and how many their caseload currently has.
It's not in a chart side by side. That may be even easier to look at, Mary, what you're talking about, being able to have that data side by side.
Right under where it says.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So these,
Okay.
so these numbers that,
Yeah, it's there.
yeah, so these numbers that Candace just presented, actually this, April Black is our DAAS person, and she actually has been working with adult services around looking at caseload sizes, what they should be, and what they actually are. And so this 163% means that's we're over that for the caseload size.
So
So
no wonder we got a problem.
exactly.
Well, see, we need help. When we sit here, we're in a oversight position. If you have this is here and that's there, it's easy to digest. It's easy to draw some kind of conclusion. So I like to see the staff present their reports to us differently.
Okay.
And so that we can know when they are being overworked. This is overworking. If you're supposed to have 25 people and you got 160 something or whatever, there's a problem here. And that means that the Board of Commissioners need to know, and as well as the county needs to know, that we are expecting miracles from people who don't have time and don't have. Give us the facts. Give it to us in plain language. Give it to us so anybody can understand it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So with Phoenix Counseling Center, That means that 80 cases will be outsourced to this particular agency, is that right?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. That's the plan.
So if that happens, I mean, what next? I mean, is this a constant people coming to your caseload? I mean, how are you gonna stay stable? You're gonna constantly outsource?
So I'll back up a little bit. As far as the guardianship unit is concerned, the guardianship unit is staffed for 6 workers right now. And we lost 2 workers at one time. And so that left a number of clients without a case manager. And so because of that, that's why we have the average caseload size that we have right now, about 57. So one of the things that the director and the agency looked at as far as providing relief to that unit, or more immediate relief, the quickest response that we could was looking at outsourcing some of these cases.
Okay.
We have had conversations about a long-term plan that would mean more cases would be outsourced eventually. There's a cost with outsourcing these cases, so of course that's something that the director will have to see if we can have in the budget. But that's a good question because like right now we have 32 cases that are being assessed for guardianship. Right. So if they meet the criteria for guardianship, then that's 32 more cases that go back into our bucket for the staff that we have here. So we are looking at long-term plans for that. This is just an immediate plan to deal with the 2 caseloads that we have right now that aren't staffed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Ms. Franklin? Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm concerned. The statistics tells you something. So, social service is not a pull a rabbit out the hat. It's dealing with the facts and dealing with the figures and dealing with the real person life. So, I'd like, I don't know about any other board member, but, yeah, we do have problems. But I think the reports should be, straightforward. It doesn't have to have words. I have 10 children, 5 eat and 5 don't. That's why those 5 look poor. They aren't eating. Now, what's the problem? Let's fix the food that we've got. Maybe they don't like what we're fixing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm saying, you don't have any children at all. And therefore, you don't understand what the problem is. That's because you don't have to deal with 5 fat and 5 poor. So here's what I like to see. Maybe the statistics, this is the state requirement. This is what we have. This is what we're doing to try to address that. Because if we're going to outsource everything, eventually the public is not going to like that. Because we are paying social workers. And we are hiring social workers. So our meetings are aired so that the public would know what we're doing for them. And we're not presenting it so they can understand. I'm an everyday person, farmer's daughter. If you're growing potatoes, it ought to look like a potato. Shouldn't look like a peanut. So you understand what I'm saying? It should be straightforward because there's no way we can outsource everything for a long period of time.
So,
because that can be more expensive. For the people who are outsourcing, we got to pay them. So let's try to change some facts so that we can get your staff up to good morale so that we don't have to sit up here and enjoy and make happy tunes to people who are stressed.
So Miss Mary, because this year we were not able to add staff to the budget, what we're trying to do is look at what we have. How can we provide some relief, get the vacancies filled? This number of 80 to be outsourced was actually the state's recommendation to us, and so Janice and I both took that into consideration, knowing full well that they're just gonna keep getting more and more cases.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what we know is our population is
It's
getting old.
growing.
And it may be, children in the beginning, but, we're dealing with the baby boomers
Yes,
now.
yes.
And so, how do we meet the current need and then long-term need and kind of stay ahead of that, so.
Let's be straightforward.
And I'll have to say, in our recruitment efforts last year, that was part of what we were looking for, is a director that would bring these types of issues to the board, whether it was painful.
I was left out of that process.
Whether it was painful or not to hear it, we need to hear it.
That's right. I'm on here as a commissioner liaison for a reason. And if you're not giving me facts that I understand and giving me the statistics and whatever, I can read 1 + 1 is 2. Give me the facts so I can help you present to this board we have that manage the oversight of the county dollars, who's in a position to tax, who then know. Let's give them the facts so they know that you're stressed. We need to change how this board operates. We need to be able to say to anybody that we have X amount of people who are in need for this service. And we have more than the state requires. We might need to go and beat up on the state people. Is when I'm talking about not beat up, but lip service. That's advocating. That's our staff need to be increased because we have a larger pool of need than we have staff to meet the needs. And we're looking at you to pull miracles. So give us, I hate to see fat books, but it's not telling me a comparative story. And I might not be a sociologist, but I took some sociology too. And I live here, and I know that everything isn't functioning right. So let's change our expectations. For the first time on this board, I see a closed session. I've never seen a closed session on this board. I can hardly wait to hear what it's about. And we already got a social service director, so we know it ain't about you. So let's be straightforward.
Right.
Communication's got to be straight for me. I can't read between the lines.
Okay, so thank you, Mary. We will move to Thomas Knight with Economic Services.
Thank you, Candace.
Would you send me your report in chart form? Thank you.
No, that's Thomas's.
Okay, my name is Thomas Knight. I'm the Quality Improvement Program Manager for Economic Services Division. I'm going to give a few updates that we have. Start with the low-income household water assistance program. That program it did end May 31st, 2023, but we are still processing a few apps that we have remaining. Right now, we have 19 apps that still remain pending that we will be processing hopefully in the month of June because that's our processing goal date. The state is considering, there will be some leftover funds for the low-income household water assistance program. The state is considering issuing supplements for households for the remaining funds. All right, now we'll move on to our report card. We did pass our report card this go around. The numbers are there. We processed an average for MAD. Our average processing time was 76 days. For other programs, it was 38 days straight through processing. It was actually 1 day because those are processed right away, and everything else was 45.
Thomas, could you just direct the board into which of these were you looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, change the
Do you all
slide. Need to change the slide.
get the hand? That's not on the slide. That's the actual That's the handout that was not on the slide. I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
That was where the focus I would
And I can go back if you need me to with the water program. Okay.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that looks like this is the first one. That
This
was,
is what we got in.
but now I'm on a report card that looks like this. Okay, so as I was saying, the report card, we passed the report card, and the numbers are there for you. Are there any questions about the report card? Okay, so now we're moving on to the slides. And the slide has stats for the Medicaid and food stamp programs. And I'm going to start with the Food and Nutrition Services intake team. Currently, there are no vacancies in the intake section, but we are currently using Vanguard staff to help us with processing. We're currently using 3 workers from Vanguard to help us process applications. And I'm going to highlight some months that's on the chart. During the time of June 2022 through August 2022, there was an increase in applications received. And that was the past due was contributed to the past due apps from the previous months. In August of, we did have overdue apps, I'm sorry, in August of 2022 to October 2022. And that was contributed from the apps received in June through August. That's why you see the increase in past due in those months. And the number of apps also increased in May of 2023. That's at the very bottom. And the reason for that increase is because of our late recertifications. Now, the late recertifications are recertifications that are supposed to be received in the month that they are due, but they're not received until the next month. So those recertifications then become applications, and that turns into an application function. So you'll notice that the application numbers went up to 1,663 in the month of May. And this is around the time when things are getting back to normal. We're not under COVID waivers as many as we once were. So that's the reason for the increase in that area. There are also, okay, I'm gonna move on to the next slide unless we have questions.
I just want to make a comment. Thomas compared the work that was done when you were 502, 589, and 383 overdues, and that you're now down to 6, is pretty remarkable. It's a
Yes.
lot of hard work.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will move on to the Food and Nutrition Services recertification. There are currently no vacancies in the redetermination section, but there are 5 workers that's still in training, so they are not fully processing at the rate that they would be if they were not in training. During the period of August 2022 through January 2023, review workers did, you might see that the numbers look slightly lower, but those workers were assisting with processing applications, and this was because of the reduced caseload during the COVID during the extensions. The cases were extended due to COVID waivers. Now, the recertification process, I want to explain it just a little bit. With recertifications that what we consider is received timely, that's between the 1st and the 15th of the month. The workers in turn have, so if they receive, the majority of them are received around the 15th. So then in turn, the workers have 2 weeks to process those recertifications received. So that can contribute to some of your overdues as well, because they're not having as much time to process the timely reviews, as opposed to untimely reviews where you have, if it's received the 16th through the 30th of the month, you have 30 days to process those. So I just want to highlight that because some of your past due can be contributed from having a short period of time to process your timely reviews.
Okay.
And there are 16 workers that work in the redetermination F&S section, and they also have 2 Vanguard workers assistant at this time.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you receive the Vanguard workers, are you finding that you're able to move some of the applications through quicker?
Well, I know we've seen an improvement in the application side. As far as recertification, I'm not sure how that's looking because I think we just started that process. Mr. Averett, who's in the audience, might can answer that better than I can.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To answer your question, yes, we are seeing, it's been a great help to have those because we have had vacancies in those areas and now there are no vacancies, but there are some people still in training, so they are helping us to move the applications as well as the late recertifications he was speaking of. That's when a client turns in their review paperwork the month after it's due, then it becomes an application. And they are also helping us with those because we've had an increase in a number of late recertifications turned in by clients because cases are no longer being extended by the state. Every case has to be reviewed now. So it has been a big help to us.
Have you looked at the process to find out how you can remedy the lapse of time or the time element?
Well, that we cannot change because it's in the Food and Nutrition Services policy. When Mr. Knight spoke about the 2-week processing period from the 16th to the last day of the month, the client has up to the 15th of the month to turn in that paperwork. And we do get we get a lot earlier in the month, but we get a high volume at the deadline time too. So for those that are received by the 15th, the caseworkers just have 2 weeks to get those processed. So there's certain things we just have to work around because that's something we cannot change.
Well, can you process them? Can they turn them in early?
They can turn them in, as soon as they get those mailed to them, they can get them turned in. And, they don't have to hold on to them.
Maybe rework another process.
And also, the recertifications cannot be turned in prior to the first of the month that they are due also. So we found that a lot of the recertifications are turned in closer to the 15th of the month.
So if they're turning them in later, is there a risk that their services cannot, with their services will stop? Is that a way
Yes.
to kind of incentivize them to turn it in early?
Yes, what happens, the late recertifications that I mentioned?
Yeah.
So most of the late recertifications are turned in because people are realizing they didn't get their
Right.
benefits.
Right.
So, yeah, the risk is if you don't turn it in that, by the 15th, it's gonna be potentially late the next month.
Yeah.
Now, the people that turn them in the 16th through the 30th or the end of the month,
Yeah.
they're potentially gonna be late the next month as well. So it's so important to get it in by the 15th. That's why the 15th is one of the busiest days in the lobby.
Yeah.
I oversee the lobby. It's one of our busier days. We receive the majority of our recertifications. If the 15th falls on a weekend, it's gonna be that day before the weekend.
Yeah.
So whenever that falls, that's our heaviest time.
Okay, thank you.
Do
No
you
problem.
notify the client maybe the first of the month?
Well, actually, the clients, they receive their recertification. It's mailed out by the state prior to the month of coming in. I think it's mailed out on the 10th of the previous month, so they can have it in by the 15th of the next month.
Well, does the client know what their consequences are by not doing it in a timely manner?
I would say that the clients that have been receiving for a longer period of time, they know the consequences more so than the clients that has been just recently started receiving. Yes, ma'am. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next slide unless we got additional questions.
No?
Okay.
Thank you for accepting my cutting you off.
No problem. You're fine. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna move into the intake team, the Medicaid area. There are currently 4 vacancies Two of those vacancies are outpost positions, and two of them are in-house. So those two are in the agency and two are outposts. And we do currently have 2 workers that's in training as well. And as previously mentioned, we did pass their Medicaid report card. There are 16, with fully staffed, we have 16 in-house Medicaid workers and 6 outpost workers. We also have 2 workers for adoption and foster care and auto newborn. All right, and I'm gonna move to the redetermination Medicaid.
These are big numbers over here as to what's past due.
There are currently 4 vacancies in the Medicaid section for redetermination, 2 in the long-term care section, 1 family and children's Medicaid, and 1 adult Medicaid. 2 of these vacancies were due to promotions, so they're still with the agency. And there are a total of 27 Medicaid workers. In August of 2022, the state extended cases in order for the counties to stay on track. That happened last year. But other than that, that's all that I have. Any questions about the Medicaid section?
I don't know, Brian, if you want to come up to the podium, or Thomas, if you want to speak together. Just a reminder to the board about the Medicaid unwinding and then the Medicaid expansion that's on the horizon. So we're just talking about the work that you do in a regular situation, but now we have the unwinding and the Medicaid expansion kind of right on the horizon there for us.
The Medicaid unwinding is individuals who have been receiving Medicaid throughout the public health emergency. Those cases are being reviewed, and as they're being reviewed, if they do not qualify based on the regular Medicaid policy rules, they will be getting notification that their cases will be terminating. That's the unwinding piece of it. So there is going to be, we know there's going to be a high volume involved with that because all of the cases are being reviewed now. The other side of it is Medicaid expansion. Some of the individuals who might be receiving terminations now likely will qualify for Medicaid expansion. And we don't have exact dates yet on when the Medicaid expansion eligibility is actually going to go into effect, where the expectation is sometime around the 1st of the calendar year. But there's nothing specific about that. That has not been finalized. So it's very important for clients to look at the notices they receive now and respond and submit the paperwork requested, because all of the cases, as they come up for review, have to be reviewed and either recertified for Medicaid benefits or termination would be proposed.
So Brian, just briefly, so what the state right now is providing us additional money to help with the Medicaid expansion. And so we're getting, every county is a little bit different, but depending on the number of cases that we have within our county, we get money from the state. The federal match to that will not kick in until October 1st. So the idea behind that is that we can start building up staff, getting the equipment we need to get prepared for the Medicaid expansion and to get the unwinding completed. We have a meeting set up with Janice Gallagher and San Crum and Florida Hardy to talk about what our needs are going forward. I think Brian has an idea of the increased number of cases this will have on the Medicaid people and the staff. And so, we're going to go in and ask, but the state is supporting this. And so I think, if I remember correctly, it was around $56,000 a month. And then we'll have a state or a federal match beginning in October so that we can start ramping up what we need to do. But it's like we're going to take all those cases and terminate people's Medicaid because of the public health emergency, only to turn around and reinstate them when we have the expansion. So it's kind of double duty, really.
Yes. I think the the initial figure for the first year of Medicaid expansion for Pitt County is estimated to be about 10,000 individuals. And people who are receiving a lesser benefit, not full Medicaid, the state has developed a way to be able to convert some of those cases over to full Medicaid without our having to touch every one of them, which is a help. But still, there are going to be many that will have to actually make applications and apply. So, but that will help, that some will be converted over, but once they're converted, there will be a review that will, there will be a larger caseload of review cases that will have to be done.
So I think even though we still have some vacancies, I think it's getting them filled and then putting additional staff in place to be able to handle this, the unwinding and then adding it up to the expansion. So, and you think, okay, well, that might be 6 months off, but that's not a lot of time when you consider that people have to be up and running and trained. So even though you find people and hire them, it takes a while for them to actually do the casework. It's a good thing for the community, but it's going to be, a pretty large,
Staff.
yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate all your work. All right.
So what are we gonna do, Sharon, to inform the public as to the seesaw?
So my first step is talking with Janice and Sam about what we're looking at for the possibility of additional staff equipment. And then when I sort of have a complete picture of what our needs are going to be, then at that point, be able to get my ducks in a row and be able to present that. Okay.
All righty. We get to do something fun.
I know. Well, yes, it's happy and sad.
Happy and sad.
Okay, Dr. Bunch, come on down.
It's your turn.
Yep.
I think we have eaten all our candy.
So this is mixed emotions for me, Dr. Bunch. This is Dr. Bunch's last meeting, her last opportunity on our board. And although I haven't been here as long as some folks, I can tell you that your presence will truly be missed. Thank you. And I appreciate all that you've done over the years. And this is just a very small token, but it's a plaque that says, presented to Dr. Sheila Bunch, Social Services Board Member, in grateful appreciation for your service to Pitt County DSS and those we serve, July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2023. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Speak.
This one, we can be at least in this a little bit.
Thank you. Any words to impart? Well, let me get to the mic so I can be heard.
Oh, the mic.
I would just like to say it's been a privilege and an honor to serve on this board for 6 years. It's been my experience that we have seen lots of changes within the agency, a lot of societal changes. You know, we always gauge life by pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID. And so I've been really impressed with how this organization has been able to navigate the natural disasters that we've had, the public health emergency, the changes with our staff, and as Colleen always reminds us, is that we are appreciative of our new workers, but we're also appreciative of the workers who come every day to keep the ball rolling. I'm very excited about our new director and the initiatives that she is looking to institute within the organization. Last month, I talked about the fact that I'm impressed by her willingness to have or to do things differently and to have other ways of doing things. But we also have to come to the realization that we have to have new ways of thinking before we can have new ways of doing. And so I am very excited about that. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bunch. So why don't we move into board member comments? I'd first like to say thank you, Dr. Bunch, for your service. It's been wonderful getting to know you better in this capacity, and I'm grateful for your guidance. And I wish you luck in your retirement from the board.
Thank you very much.
Your second retirement. Anyone else?
Sheila, I moved here in October of 2014, and a mutual friend told me, you need to meet this person. So you agreed to go to lunch with me just so I could meet another social worker here in the community. So you were the first social worker that I met in Pitt County. And you asked me this terrifying question over lunch: have you ever thought about teaching? And I said, oh, I'll give it a try. And so thank you for giving me the opportunity to teach so many social workers here in Pitt County. I've now been teaching for 8 years. And I have multiple jobs, but that is by far one that I have an extreme passion for. And I am so grateful that you gave me that opportunity. And seeing that you were on the board was certainly influential in my decision to become a part of this board. I am honored to have served on a board with you, and I thank you for the opportunities that you've shared with me.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, Sheila, I shared this end of the table with you. Today we ate up all the butternut candy.
Yes, we did.
And I want to say to you, it's been a pleasure. Things change, life change.
Yes.
What in the world are you going to do doing nothing?
I won't answer that.
Well, I'm sure whatever it is you enjoy. Don't rush the race. The mind is a terrible thing to lose.
That's true. That is so
So,
true. I will keep
find
my
something
mind
to stay
busy.
with.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I'll just say, Dr. Bunch, I'm surely gonna miss looking over and getting that smile.
And the reminder to let people go so they don't have to now, Daron is now taking up that mantle.
That's right. You have work to do.
Okay, so now that we're through with our board comments, we are going to move into closed session, but do we need to adjourn the open session?
You need to
We're going to
read this.
We're going to read the general statute.
And then we go into it.
Okay, so go ahead,
We
Ashley.
do a motion.
North Carolina General
Wait,
Statute.
hang on just a second. A motion for closed session? Does somebody want to make a motion? We move into closed
So
session?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to clear the room of everybody but board members. Ashley, you need to read the general statute, and then you may depart.
She can stay to take notes.
Nope.
because-
Gonna record.
Oh. No,
Is anyone
okay.
gonna record?
I'm going to record.
Okay,
Florida was
perfect.
supposed to be
Somebody
here.
here.
Florida was supposed to do it, but it's probably because we're running over an hour behind.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay?
North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 regarding closed session, Section A, permitted purposes. It is the policy of this state that closed sessions shall be held only when required to permit a public body to act in a public interest as permitted in this section. A public body may only hold a closed session and exclude the public only when a closed session is required. Also, item Number 1, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of the state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay?
And do we need to go off the?
Yes, absolutely. So that part of the board meeting is the open part. Okay, everyone, we're back in our open session. Do I
Madam
have?
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to offer the motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll see you next month.